today on Head Coach.
But that brings me back to growing up on a farm with 16 other siblings, where everything we ate, we raised. They can't understand, because everybody had running water and indoor plumbing. Nowadays, back then, we didn't have indoor plumbing and running water until I was 16 years old. Coach Patino was the one that really said, "Hey, Tubby, you got to do it. It's a great opportunity for you and your family." I've always said when I took this job here, I wanted people to measure me and look at me and judge me by the content of my character and not by the color of my skin. In this life, there's only one thing that you have, and that's your name. And what you've done between the time you were born until the day you die. I know I'm the guardian of the most prestigious basketball program in the country.
Coach's Fact is proudly brought to you by OnTrack Incorporated, the leader in fiber-to-the-home connectivity. Since arriving in Lexington as head coach, Tubby Smith has led Kentucky to 1 national title in '98, 5 SEC championships, 5 SEC tournament titles, led the Cats to 4 NCAA Elite 8 finishes in his first 9 seasons at UK, and he has 13 consecutive NCAA tournament appearances, the 3rd longest streak among active coaches. Coach, we are, this morning we're out just taking a walk on the campus. It's a beautiful campus first and foremost, but you've really grown to love this place.
Well, I have, Kentucky, the bluegrass state, and when you look around this campus, you can see the foliage, and it's that time of the season as well. It's a special place, and it will always have a special place, I know, in my heart, as it does for all of Kentuckians.
Sure, yeah, you kind of didn't take you long to start bleeding blue, did it?
No, blue has always been my favorite color.
Oh, well, that's a bonus.
In fact, Tubby Blue is what they call me back then.
Now that's something I wanted to talk to you about. Is Tubby your middle name? Your first name's Orlando. How did you get Tubby? And how did that
middle name, yeah.
I was like, what were your parents telling you?
Well, they were telling me that. What my mom was suggesting is that I can't remember everybody's names. With 17 of us.
Yeah.
And I had this fondness for the Tub. So I grew up on a farm.
One of 17 kids in the family, and he is, if you're one of 17, you're going to be humble. There won't be too many spoiled kids there.
His dad was a strong guy, but he worked a lot. His mom obviously was a very strong woman to raise 17 kids just from the physical part of that, much less the mental part. But I think, I've had a chance. I don't know all of his siblings, but I do know some of them, and they seem to have a great relationship.
What a remarkable family, and they are all still with him.
Yes. He's very, very blessed to say that. A lot of people can't say that. And they are all still alive, and his mom and dad are still alive also.
Do they stay close? I mean, do they get together?
Yes, everyone tries to get together around like the 3rd week in August, usually every year.
But that brings me back to growing up on a farm with 16 other siblings, where everything we ate, we raised. And the name Tubby, hence the name Tubby, came because I love to get in the tub on Saturday night. Because that's the only time I really had a chance to take a bath. You kind of wash during the week, but you actually bathe on Saturday night.
Those stories are true. Everybody took a bath on a Saturday.
Well, yeah. For people in modern day time, they can't understand, because everybody had running water and indoor plumbing. Nowadays, back then, we didn't have indoor plumbing and running water until I was 16 years old.
Well, he did talk about Saturday being his favorite day.
Saturday was like wash day.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know, and
the love of the tub.
We don't understand that.
I didn't understand that. I grew up in the city, and we always had running water. And no, I did not grow up on a farm. I mean, we had linoleum floors and always hot water.
I was so happy that I made the athletic teams, the football team and the basketball team at my high school.
Yeah.
Because I could take a shower.
That's something. That is something. You know, you talk about his large family, that just his inbred work ethic. I mean, talk to me
and
about
the importance of sharing. Yeah, you can't be in a large family and not know the importance of sharing.
Yeah, that's probably true.
Yeah.
And learn a little bit about competition too.
Exactly. Did he tell you the story of about 3 of them sleeping per bed?
No.
Yeah.
No.
I'll let him tell you that.
No, he hasn't. I don't have a chance to tell him. You tell me.
It really should come from him. But there were times when there were 3 kids to a bed.
Is that right?
He said they would sleep sideways. And I mean, that's not made up.
Tubby, that's where he learned to be really caring, because a large family, and his father is one of the greatest people, just like Tubby. And his Guthrie Smith was Tubby's idol, and he was his role model. And Tubby has copied that.
Apple doesn't fall too far from that tree.
That absolutely didn't. Tubby has copied that, and he's taken it with him into this profession of his for his entire life.
What that brings to the table as far as Tubby Smith, the basketball coach at the University of Kentucky, is really tolerance. You know, it's one of those things where you learn to tolerate certain things, and you don't sweat the small stuff when it comes to personal relationships and so forth. So when you're dealing with kids and others, you know, he seems to be relatively tolerant about you know, dealing with people on a personal level. And you know, I think a lot of that has to do with the way he was brought up.
Tubby and I did not come from very rich families at all, and we have not always lived this way. When we first got married, we lived in a 2-bedroom trailer.
Is that right?
That's right.
Wow. Humble beginnings.
Exactly.
Huh? But it really makes you appreciate what you get.
Well, you also, it's very important that you try to never forget where you come from. And when you do give back, not only does that make your heart feel good, but it's warranted.
Dribble him out. You can always dribble him out. Yeah, reverse it. Reverse it. Screen down.
Coach, when you were looking at this, did you ever think coaching was going to be your career?
Well, growing up in a family like that, I was inspired by my parents, obviously, and other teachers and coaches, because every teacher I've ever had inspired me in some form or fashion. My older brother, who's 10 years old now, was a school teacher. So, but coaching is always something I've enjoyed.
What is it like being a coach's wife, and were you always, did you know that Tubby was going to move in this direction, and is this what you expected?
Well, actually, he has always wanted to be a coach ever since, I want to say, he said middle school. That is what he always wanted to do, be a coach and be a teacher.
When he was in middle school?
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes, because many times, as kids, they would do a lot of like team-oriented type sports, playing outside on the farm, and many times he was the coordinator of getting everyone together or saying, you're on this team, da-da-da-da. He has always loved working with kids.
Putting together the dodgeball team or the kickball team or the softball team in the family was always something that I felt comfortable doing. And,
well, with 17, you got a team built.
Well, you had absolutely, and there was a lot of competition in a family like that. So you love to compete, and coaching is teaching, and teaching is coaching, and the competitive juices just start to flow, and we all have that in us.
I don't know if I should tell you this or not, but I think.
What is it?
Tubby, and I don't want to cause any friction at home, but I think Tubby thinks that you're probably his biggest critic. Is that true? Is that true? Donna, tell me that's not true.
Oh, well, yeah. Well, sometimes I'll like make a comment and I'll say something, right or wrong, good or bad. I mean, I've always been, well, he's been like that to me too.
That's right.
You know, and I think that's what
Turnabout's fair play.
A healthy partnership that's what it's about.
Behind every good man, there's probably
a surprise mother-in-law. Usually that's what I tell behind every good man. There's usually a surprise mother-in-law as well.
Is there one in your case?
Yes, there is.
Oh, there is. Okay.
Yeah, you know, sometimes we overachieve, and I felt like I did that when I married Donna.
You married up, did you?
Yes, I did.
Okay, that's always a bonus. He really looked at it and said, "She balances me," and that's what's so important.
What the kids call it today. It's called keeping it real, Doug. Mm-hmm. Keeping it real.
Yeah.
She embraces our players and have them over. She understands what some of these young men are going through when they travel from far away, like California or Florida or Tennessee or wherever. So it's been she's been a big help in that regard. The good Lord works in many in mysterious ways. He sends blessings to you all the time, and she's certainly been a blessing to me.
Coming up next on Head Coach.
One of the best things I can say about Rick Pitino is he brought us Tubby Smith.
He did.
If it was not for Rick Pitino, we wouldn't have had Tubby Smith.
This Coach's Fact is brought to you by Crystal. Check us out online at crystal.com. 2003, a year in which Tubby Smith's coaching ranked among the very best, featured a 32-4 overall record, highlighted by a 19-0 sweep of the SEC regular season and SEC tournament. Tubby Smith received all 7 of the National Coach of the Year honors recognized by the NCAA, the first time that has occurred since Bobby Knight in '75. Always seem to be taking either a mediocre program or a program that's kind of in disrepair, and you move it to the forefront. You move it beyond expectations. I've seen that at Tulsa. Obviously, you did the same at Georgia. Tell me, what is it about you that enables you to do that?
In the case at Tulsa, I replaced the guy I played for in college, J.D. Barnett, at High Point College back in 1972. And a lot I learned because I was assistant coach for him also at Virginia Commonwealth University for 6 years.
We go all the way back to VCU in kind of the 70s, the late 70s. We got started at the same time. J.D. Barnett got the job at VCU late. He had coached Tubby and knew Tubby from his days there, and Tubby was a high school coach in North Carolina. So he got Tubby to come in there, and it ended up that he hired me. And so Tubby and I actually got into college basketball the same year at the same place.
Wow.
So we go back a long, long ways, and you know, we were assistants together for 6 years.
And a lot of my defensive principles are based on the teachings of J.D. Barnett, along with Jerry Steele and others. But you asked me about Tulsa and replacing him. I thought Coach Barnett did a great job of helping me make that transition because I'd gone out to see him before at Tulsa and I knew him and we stayed in touch. So it was good to have his blessings. The same thing at Georgia. And you mentioned we took that program to the Sweet 16 my last 2 years. And to
they never won a tournament game, had they?
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. And then we won.
It's amazing.
Well, we didn't. Yeah, we had some outstanding players, and I had an outstanding staff.
And you're very humble.
Well, it wasn't anything I did. You can't do it without good people.
You also had transition time from Tulsa to Georgia. And Georgia, what a wonderful experience that was.
It was a wonderful experience.
Isn't that a great campus?
It's a beautiful campus. The University of Georgia in Athens, again. Wonderful experience, the administration there, the people in the town. You know, everybody was really, really good to us.
One of the best things I can say about Rick Pitino is he brought us Tubby Smith.
He did.
If it was not for Rick Pitino, we wouldn't have had Tubby Smith. So that when Rick moves on, we had somebody we could turn to that had made an impression, and the administrative people here loved Tubby. So, you know, it was a no-brainer.
Now, you'd been at Georgia, and you had 2 great years. Just really getting that program rolling. And had some significant wins in the tournament at Georgia.
Absolutely.
Got them to the Sweet 16 twice. Right. Then you go to a program that there's only one direction to go, and that's You know, you either got to maintain it.
You got to win it all.
Or,
yeah, and we were very, very fortunate again.
Was that a tough call, or was it just a dream job?
It was. It's a dream job, but it was a tough call at the time. And because I was coaching my oldest son, Gigi, I had an outstanding team returning. We had just lost to Kentucky in the Southeastern Conference Championship game. They had gone on to win the national championship. And having been here previously, I knew the expectations.
Yeah, and you had a good idea.
I had an excellent idea of what to expect coming into the program. But C.M. Newton had kind of been guiding my career since I was here previously. He was AD who hired Rick Pitino and hired me, but he kind of was, I think he was kind of navigating my career and helping me through my career to take the Tulsa job, take the Georgia job. Boom, now all of a sudden, Tubby, we're ready for you, you're ready for Kentucky. But it was, to be honest with you, it was easy, but it was heart-wrenching because the folks at Georgia were so good to me and my family. And Coach Pitino was the one that really said, hey, Tubby,
you got to do it.
You got to do it.
Yeah.
It's a great opportunity for you and your family. The people there will love you. You know, your style of play and who you are will fit in well. If he does pass it, then somebody else will X out and take it. You got to make him make that extra pass, okay? You got to make him pass the ball.
Come on, talk, man.
Rebound, 2 hands. Go get the ball with 2 hands, fellas. Rebound the ball with 2 hands.
There's a particular person on your staff who is Mr. Wildcat. I mean, he's Mr. Kentucky.
Yeah.
Talk to me about that special person.
Have you had a chance to meet Mr. Kitely? I hope he's in this documentary or in this because
being interviewed.
He is the best. He's, you know, I've been here and been knowing him now since '89, and you know, one of the things that I said to C.M. Newton when he hired me to take the job here at Kentucky, I said, look, all I want to know is Mr. Kitely going to be on the, is he going to be there? So if he's not going to be there, then I'm not sure if I want to be there.
Now help me out here. You've been equipment manager for 45 years at UK?
Well, actually, this would be my 47th team.
He's seen, since the Adolph Rupp days, he's actually witnessed more wins probably in college basketball than any single person in the history of college basketball.
I don't want to set a challenge out there because there's always somebody to challenge every statement you make.
Yeah.
But I am 3 wins away from 1,100 wins.
Is that right?
Now, you know, well, Dean Smith not going to catch me.
That's for sure.
And right now, I don't see anybody on the horizon. Yes, sir, that's pretty good. I think my percentage is something like 76.5.
He's an institution to himself. I mean, he's an archive. I mean, not just basketball, but any information you want to know, anything you want to know about Kentucky sports.
And you're sitting during the games 2 seats away from Tubby Smith. Is that right? Is that where you're at?
That's right.
During every game?
I don't think that's had any influence on the win.
Do you talk to him much during the game?
Oh yeah, wake up, Scott. All the time, trying to wake up.
You're missing a good one. Don't miss this win.
It's a good game, man. Come on.
This one, number 892, you're about to miss.
But you have to use my said, hey, did you not get on that guy on the official? Will you please come on,
right?
wake up?
You even have him work the refs for you.
Oh yeah, I've got to have, man. They respect him. So if I'll turn to him and say, why don't you say something to me? He's not listening to me.
Well, he told me he has you working over the officials every once in a while.
Well, you know, I have learned you don't say too much to an official. Hey, you know, those suckers, they look for somebody on the bench other than the coach. they like to lay one up on you.
Have you ever gotten a technical?
No, sir.
You haven't?
No, but I've come close. But that was my younger days, and you know, I'm a quick learner.
Like fine wine. You
That's right.
Mellow
quick
and
learner.
nice. There you go.
You got to become friends with these officials.
And they retired his jersey. He didn't even play or
retired his jersey. He has a room named after him. I'm thinking we might name the new practice facility after him, or something in the new practice facility after him. So, but he really has a love affair and affinity for this program, the Kentucky Wildcats, like no one else.
It's reciprocal.
Great respect for him. He speaks more than anybody in this state, I guarantee you.
Wow.
Or anyone associated with this program.
Stories he has, huh?
A bunch.
Oh yeah, cut it!
You got to throw the ball inside, son. As soon as you catch it. As soon as they threw the ball right here, Randy had him wide open. He was hollering for the ball. Throw it right to him, okay? As soon as you catch it, you rip the ball through, throw it to him. Yeah, don't dribble. You're dribbling too much. You're putting your head down. Keep your head up.
It takes people skills. It takes a manager. I mean, you're basically CEO when you're a head coach, aren't you? I mean, you got to manage conflict, kids, parents. I mean, the whole gamut.
You have to. You're right. You said you have to be everything. You have to be all things to a lot of different people. You have to be a father. You have to be a psychologist. You have to be a fundraiser. You have to be, and you have to sell tickets. You have to play a style that's exciting and that's fun that people want to come see. I mean, the key is putting paying customers in those seats because in this day and time, you have to pay the bills in most major colleges, and let's face it, football and basketball pretty much pays the bills in most campuses.
No question.
So I think you've got to be philosophically sound, and you've got to have a system in place that when I say they, I'm talking about to the public and to the alumni and to the trustees that, hey, Coach Smith is doing it the right way.
Yeah.
Players are graduating. They're representing it the right way. They talk well, they act well, they're people, they're young men that you can be proud of. Mm-hmm. And that's what it's about. It's about people, it's about those athletes, about those players reaching their goals and reaching their dreams.
Coming up next on Head Coach.
He's a man that has never forgotten his roots. He still is humble as today as he was the first time that I ever met him.
Coach's Fact is proudly brought to you by OnTrack Incorporated, the leader in fiber-to-the-home connectivity. Over his first 15 seasons as head coach, Tubby Smith has had 13 consecutive 20-win seasons, won a league championship 7 times, and was the 5th head coach to win 365 games in 15 seasons or less. Since coming to Kentucky, Smith has won an average of nearly 27 games per season and has a 28-12 record in the NCAA tournament. Let's shift a little bit. Your personal family. You've coached 2 of your own sons, and in different schools. What was that like?
Oh, it was the best thing that ever happened for me.
Yeah.
I mean, I hope it was for them also.
Yeah. Would I have to ask them if that was the best thing?
Probably so. Because sometimes the coach and the dad, they're dealing with 2 dynamics.
That's right.
Versus me, that's my son.
Was it difficult for you to have Tubby coach 2 of your sons?
Yes. It was difficult to a certain extent, but it was very rewarding to him because if you go back now, the whole time that they're growing up, he was gone a lot. Mm-hmm. So here they are, they're about to start college, and they're like, I kind of might want to play for my dad. And I'm like, no, you don't. You do? And they're like, yeah.
When you've got the team, and then you have the public perception and the media and fans of father, son, is he getting preferential treatment?
Down inside, I thought he was harder on them than he was with everybody else. And in the eyes of some other people, they may have thought that he was too easy on them. But lots of times, what I thought, or it appeared to me, lots of times it seemed like he was harder on them.
Did you feel like you were fair? Did you feel like you were tougher on them? I mean, did they have more trouble with that?
It's a good question. I don't think so. Each one handled it different. Everybody, each individual is different.
He's very interested in his sons and what they're doing. But it's kind of a tough love situation. Now they're players, and they happen to play for their dad.
Yeah.
And I didn't really see Gigi up close because he was at Georgia when I was at Alabama. We saw him playing on the court against us, but when I came here and Saul was a player here, you could really see that in a lot of ways, Tubby held Saul to a higher standard than even the other guys.
It's sort of like, fathers expect a lot from your sons.
That's true.
That's the way I took it. And now, mind you, I did stay out of it. You know, no, I am not in the locker room after a game. No.
That's probably a good thing.
That is a good thing.
It might be a little awkward.
Yeah, it would be.
It could be.
Well, I'm sure that Gigi and Saul both felt like I expected more out of them.
Yeah.
Not necessarily more out of them, but I guess they sensed that they had to be not better, but they had to perform, and they had to. I don't think I really demanded more out of them. I just expected them to do things the right way, and for the most part they did. I've been very fortunate.
At the end of a loss, are you going to go in the locker room and be teammate, or as soon as somebody says something nasty about your dad, does that role change? I don't know.
When I'm on you guys and we had a tough practice or we lost a game and I'm on you guys' cases, how did the players respond and how did you handle it when you went in the locker room behind closed doors with them and the things that were said? How did you respond to it? Saul, he said, Dad, they better not say anything about it, you know, in front of me.
Be all right.
Yeah, it might be. Whereas Gigi, my oldest son, his personality was, well, I just stayed away. I just kind of avoided that confrontational moment and let it quiet down. So Saul was the type that, I mean, it was more of a, you know, he was one of those guys that's more apt to, when they were poking fun at him or taunting him at games, daddy's girl or something like that, he would go, you know, if he made a shot, or he would go, if we win in the game, he'd go, let me hear a little more. He would do stuff like that. Whereas Gigi, the oldest one's personality was not that way.
In retrospect, was it positive?
It was. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. When it's all said and done, oh, yeah.
Get up, pressure the ball. It's a good, control, contain it. Get him on it, Bobby. Hold on. Oh, you got to get up on him and pressure. You know what I mean? You guys are not pressuring the ball.
What kind of a person is Coach Smith?
You know what? He's really difficult to describe because the fella is without a flaw. The man is, as a person, is totally without a flaw. He is one of the best, most humble, congenial, passionate, caring human beings I've ever been around in my life.
He's got a really good heart. You know, he's always in a situation where he wants to give people the benefit of the doubt. He's always looking for the good in people rather than the bad, and he's looking, you know, if you didn't quite get it done, son, this is why you didn't get it done. This is what you need to do. Now you got another chance, get it done.
Well, I've always been and listened and paid a lot of attention to what the great John Wooden has to say about faith, about character, about those pillars that build men. But again, it started long before that. It started in the home. Growing up, my parents instilled that in us. And my dad used to talk, and I tell our players all the time, we talk about moderation. John Wooden talks about balance in everything you do. So I always like to talk about moderation.
He's also a devout Christian. You know, we have even on the road, we'll have a little devotional.
His faith's important to him, isn't it? That's part of his character, is that faith.
Yes, it is. I mean, he's a strong believer in that. And for those that want to participate, we have a Bible study every Wednesday night. And it's amazing how many athletes show up for this Bible study.
Kids are
and
searching.
that's Tubby, see, it's Tubby.
I go back to my family again because I think I had great teachers and great mentors and leaders in my parents that were able to, I could see how hard my dad was working and my mom was working. I could see the faith that they had in the biblical principles that they shared with us, and the good things that they instilled in us.
Tubby's a guy that I think is a guy of strong faith. I think that's probably part of his background as well. You know, with his mom and dad were strong Christian people, and you know, he's got that in him as well. And again, he conveys that in a certain way to the players, but not from an overbearing standpoint. He tries to point out the importance of it. He encourages them to participate, but at the same time, he doesn't condemn them if they don't. You know, I think the players see that in him as well, you know, and they respect that, and that's one of the reasons that they have the relationship that they have with him.
He encourages everyone to go to church every Sunday morning, and ever so often, he takes them all.
Is that right?
That's right, he does.
Right? They're in a stage in life where they're just trying to figure it out.
Yeah, right.
And that's a part of the equation, isn't it?
Yeah, and you know what? And they get into this study and they become interested. And without Tubby, you know, making this available, and you've always got the Fellowship of Christian Athletes, you know, that like to work with these people and have a Bible study.
Even though we didn't have a lot, I'm talking about from a monetary standpoint, we did have love, and you can't put a value on that. And so that was always
that's
there.
Priceless.
And that would love can conquer all. And I'm just telling you, it can. And that's what helped me, I guess, shape and mold who I am, and get me into this position now of leadership.
Coming up next on Head Coach.
There's a lot of minorities that want to identify with Tubby Smith, and they're hoping, they're praying, they're pulling for you to be successful.
You also give back tremendously to the community. I know that you have your foundation that is really core to your being. Tell me a little bit about that. Many people don't know about that. Talk to me about what you do.
Well, you know, in this life, there's only one thing that you have, and that's your name, and what you've done between the time you were born until the day you die.
That little dash.
What does that mean? And I've heard people, but for most of us, we all have a platform. We've all been given these opportunities. But in the Tubby Smith Foundation, we also have clubhouses. We've started the Tubby Clubhouses, which is another entity of our foundation. And what it is, it's an after-school program, and we identify kids in middle school that do not have a computer and are need-based.
He sets up these Tubby clubhouses where the kids are exposed to a computer that normally wouldn't be, and that's very gratifying and fulfilling to Tubby because he feels a goodness when he sees that.
Then we identify them through classes. You know, teachers will identify this young kid as girl, male or female, minority, but they're disadvantaged kids that don't have a lot. And then we try to...
Does that go in their home or does it go to the school?
The computer?
Yeah.
Well, it goes in their home. What happens is they go through a 40-hour training session.
And you put a computer
school.
In their home?
We pay for their meals, we transport them to the different urban league centers, maybe around community centers around town, 6 of them here in Lexington.
Wow.
And they spend after hours, 40 hours, and they have to come to every session. They have to have perfect attendance. They have to take the computer apart, put it back together.
Is that right?
They give PowerPoint presentations. We have a graduation. I can't do it either. But you can see these kids and how they bright up, and you see the self-esteem. Yeah. So we give them a free computer, a free Lexmark printer, a free subscription, internet for a year. It's amazing. We graduated.
How did you think of this?
Ro Parr, a young man who I cut from a high school basketball team in 1974-75 at Great Mills High School. He's now in upper management at Dell.
So a guy you cut.
A guy I cut from a high school basketball. Well, we've got a great relationship now, and he's done a fantastic job.
How unique is that? I mean, usually you're pretty upset when you get cut.
I know, but I think it's the way you handle people. And one of the things that he shared with me and with others is at that time, he said, Coach Smith sat me down, explained to me, why I didn't make the team, encouraged me to be all I could be in other areas. But he said I didn't post his name on a door. And that's what impressed him.
Yeah.
And so the caring part.
See,
they don't care how much you know
that's right.
until they know how much you care.
Be strong, finish it. Get the three-point play, good. Be strong and get the three-point play. Finish at the basket, good. Finish around the rim. Jump again, it comes out.
I don't know if you know this or not, but you are a minority. I just thought I'd let you know that, just in case you were surprised.
What am I, too tall?
Yeah, no, you're fine.
I'm taller than the average man, is that what it is?
Just a little enlightenment for you right there. But where do you think the state is of major college coaching at a minority level?
I've always said when I took this job here, I wanted people to measure me and look at me and judge me by the content of my character. Mm-hmm. And not by the color of my skin. And that's so critical. Is there room for improvement, and not just from a number standpoint of hiring more people, just getting the best qualified people and people given a chance. But in this business, in any business, the bottom line is productivity. Are you producing? Are you winning enough games? And I like to think that Coach Newton hired me because he felt like I was competent and qualified to be able to handle this job. And when I think we've served it well so far. Some people question that, but
you've done okay. All the time. Average 27 wins a year, you're pretty much okay.
But you always, we feel like we can do better, and we want to do better.
Over your shoulder is the Sears Trophy.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you forgot about that, didn't you?
Yeah.
That had to be such a thrill to win. But you really hurt yourself because you won it in your first year.
I remember Coach Frank McGuire telling me, the great Frank McGuire coached at North Carolina, St. John's, South Carolina. And I was assistant coach at South Carolina with George Felton and Eddie Payne. And he said, I said, Coach, man, what kind of advice can you give a young coach just starting out? He said, first thing, son, it's all about perception, image. What do you want people how you want them to view you? You got to come up with that, your philosophy and everything. The second thing is schedule. And make sure you have control of that schedule, because you can schedule yourself out of a job. Yeah. He said, there's a good control. And he said, and the third thing was, don't win too many too soon.
Yeah. You violated number
And I violated rule 3, I violated. We come in and we win 34 games and go on to win a national championship.
That was an amazing year. It is really difficult for a coach to come into a situation where he has most players returning, but he's got to sell himself and his program to the players.
Their attitude, who are you, Coach?
Yeah.
We just lost. Not only had they won a national championship in '96, but they had just lost to Arizona in the championship game in the Final Four.
That's right.
So they're like, we don't really need you.
Tubby took his low-key approach and preached every day that players win games, but teams win championships.
And there were a lot of situations and things that happened that year that I think brought us together more as a team, as a family, and that was a big help as we went on to win the national championship.
It is nearly impossible to take a team and win a national championship the first year, and I don't know now, I can't go back in history, but I don't recall it happening.
But I think what happens at Kentucky, winning is kind of viewed as a birthright. It's not about the wins, it's about the losses. Who did you lose to? When did you lose to them? That sort of thing. That's the difference between the pressures of Kentucky and the pressures of other places.
We're here to try to fulfill the expectations of our fans. And, they've, through the years, we've had so much success, and that set the standard, the bar a little bit higher now, because In the earlier years, there was not that many high-profile teams. Now that gap has narrowed.
The greatest thing about the University of Kentucky basketball, though, is the interest level. You know, there's great interest by people all over the state in Kentucky basketball. The worst thing about Kentucky basketball is the interest, because now everything you do is scrutinized. So it's a difficult thing.
In this day and time, with so many more Division I programs.
The balance.
Well, the balance, also the leveling of the playing field, the reduction in scholarships in college in Division I basketball, going from 15 to 13. That means there's 2 other good players going to some other school now.
So he's really focused on getting our guys that we already have in the program to perform, putting them in a situation where they can be successful on the court and off. And looking forward to the future from a recruiting standpoint, just making sure we're getting the right guys and the best guys, not just players, but people that can perform in a team setting.
What's the future hold for Tubby Smith and your program?
Oh, well, I think the future is bright. This is my 10th year here at Kentucky. I still have 4 or 5 years to go on my present contract, and I'd like to finish my career here at Kentucky. I think enough of this program, the leadership, that and if we can continue to have the fire and that passion for coaching, then I'm going to plan on being here for a long time. I mean, that's what the future. That's what I am looking forward to. I hope